To introduce Todd Berry. I'm going to change my view so we have a speaker view. And Todd. Todd is a safety officer with the Calgary Fire Department. He educates Calgarians on the importance of fire safety and prevention. Todd also serves to reduce risk for services within our community across all demographics. Todd joined the CFD in February of 2011. He worked as a firefighter responding to emergency calls until 16. He was then promoted to the rank of community safety officer. Todd has educated thousands of Calgarians on fire safety and other topics related to community risk reduction. Todd is also the lead officer for the Youth Fire Center program, which aims to educate youth on the dangers of playing with fire. I have a personal story on that one, but he is passionate about fire safety and keeping all citizens safe here in Calgary. Todd has volunteered with Big Brothers and Sisters for many years. He sits on the Safety Expo Planning Committee, which organizes an annual event that educates several thousand students and is hosted by several public safety related agencies. In his free time when not spending time with his wife and 2 kids, Todd enjoys going out to nature and capturing scenic photos. Hi, Todd.
Yeah, as Linda said, I am a community safety officer with the Calgary Fire Department, and our role is to educate about fire safety majority of the time, but we also talk about fall prevention as well. And this presentation we're doing today, we'll be talking about both fire safety for you and your home, but also ways to help prevent falls in your home as well. So get started with the presentation here.
Hi, my name is Steve Donworth, Chief of the Calgary Fire Department. I want to personally welcome you to today's presentation, Remembering When. On a daily basis, Calgary firefighters respond to all types of emergencies and hazardous situations. But we also take pride in the educational and community outreach programs we provide to the citizens of Calgary. Remembering When is a fire safety and fall prevention program focused on keeping older adults safe. Our community safety team is very excited to share these safety messages with you today. Thank you for your participation, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Everything else will go smoothly here. So we're going to start with some fire safety and cooking. Cooking is our #1 cause for fires here in Calgary and all throughout North America. Just about every day we go to at least one cooking fire here in Calgary. So and a lot of the fires that we do go to are preventable. Last year, the Calgary Fire Department went to over 66,000 calls here in Calgary. About 2% of those calls were for fire calls. Over 50% of the calls we go to are for medical calls. And then car accidents and false alarms and animal rescue calls and lots of just miscellaneous calls that they send the fire department to. So as fire department, we go to many different types of calls. But like I said, medical calls make up 50% of those calls. So sometimes people are wondering why we would send the fire department for those medical calls. And as firefighters, we all have medical training. We've got certain things on our trucks like medical bags and defibrillators. So if somebody's maybe having a heart attack, we can get to their home quickly and then start doing CPR or possibly administering that AED and shocking their heart, trying to get the heart beating again or in the right rhythm. So yeah, like I said, 50% of the time or 50% of the calls are for medical calls. So if they're more severe calls like chest pains, breathing problems, heart attack, that kind of thing, they'll send both ambulance and fire. And with us having 42 fire stations throughout the city and 1,400 firefighters, a lot of times we can actually get to the call even before the ambulance. And lately, unfortunately, the ambulances have been sort of overwhelmed a bit, and their call response times are getting a little bit longer. So it's a scary situation, but it's issues with the Alberta government and funding and that kind of thing. So, well, won't go into too much of a rant on that, but yeah, unfortunately, response times for ambulances are getting longer right now. So let's get back to fire safety and in the kitchen. So like I said, cooking is our #1 cause for fires. So when you're cooking, there's a few things we want to remember. Never leave cooking unattended. We see lots of times where somebody puts something on the stovetop, they get distracted by the phone or somebody at the door, or we've even had people go out and went shopping at the mall or picking up some groceries, and they forget that on the stovetop, and it can get too hot and cause a fire. So never leave cooking unattended when it's on the stovetop. If you're slowly simmering something on a very low heat, make sure you're going to go check on that on a regular basis. But if you're cooking something on medium heat or high heat, never leave it unattended while you're cooking. Also be careful with the clothing you wear while you're cooking. Sometimes if you've got sleeves or maybe even a robe that can hang down quite a bit, we've seen where people are reaching over the burner or gas burner and their clothes catch on fire. So either wear short sleeve clothing or tight fitting clothing while you're cooking. Also using oven mitts while you're cooking. And then even if you're cooking something and you find that you're getting maybe a little bit forgetful, it's good to just keep that oven mitt on your hand just to remind you, oh, wait a minute, I'm cooking something in the kitchen. I got to stay in the kitchen and watch what I'm cooking. Now, if you're cooking with oil or grease, say I've got some oil or grease in the bottom of this pan, and if you're cooking at higher temperatures, oils or greases, they have a certain point where they'll actually, if they reach that certain temperature, they will basically erupt into flames. So if you're cooking with oil or grease, it's always good to have an oven mitt handy and also a lid. So if I'm cooking away and then I have that oil or grease fire, all I want to do is put on that oven mitt. I'm just going to grab the lid. I'm just going to get down low, kind of shelter myself. I'm going to slide the lid on there, or even you could use like a baking sheet, slide the baking sheet on there, turn off the heat, and just leave that pot sitting there. That pot or pan, just leave it there. Don't try to move it to the sink or move it outside. Just leave it there, let it cool. Also be careful not just to, like after a minute or two, oh, let's take a look and see what's happening in that pot. Because if you take that lid off before it has a chance to cool, it's just going to get that fire oxygen again and it's going to erupt again. So yeah, have a pot or the lid that fits that pot or that pan handy, or even a baking sheet, and just slide that over top. Turn off the heat and just leave it cool. Now, if that fire is big and you don't feel comfortable trying to put the lid on there, we just want you to get out of your home, get outside and call 911. And some people say, what if I put baking soda on that fire? So if this pot's got a fire in there and I've got some baking soda, technically baking soda would work to put out that fire, but you're putting yourself in danger trying to reach over and sprinkle that baking soda on top of that fire, and you could potentially burn yourself. So the best solution is just have a lid close by or that cookie sheet and just slide it over top and cover it, turn off the heat and just leave it there. And if you're drowsy or tired from medications or from alcohol, make sure you're not cooking in that state. We do see lots of people who put something on the stovetop and they've had some alcohol, or they're tired and they go sit on the couch and they fall asleep and forget about it. And suddenly their kitchen and house is full of smoke, and then the smoke alarms wake them up. And so, yeah, don't be cooking while you're in those states. A lot of people think that if they're sleeping and they smell that smoke, that they'll wake up. But when you're sleeping, your senses, you won't actually wake up to the smell of smoke. It's the smoke alarms that will wake you up there. So we'll talk about that here shortly. So if anybody's a smoker, or if anybody in your family is a smoker, make sure you have good sturdy ashtrays to put those cigarette butts in. And before you throw those cigarette butts in the garbage, it's good to wet them under the sink, or just pour some water in that ashtray, mix it up, make sure they're nice and cool before you put them in the garbage. And also be careful of smoking in bed or laying on the couch. We see fires where somebody's a little bit tired and they're laying on the couch or laying in bed and they got that cigarette in their mouth. And when they're laying down, it falls onto the bed or on the couch and starts that fire. So be very careful with that. And if anybody's on medical oxygen, a definite no to smoke while you're on oxygen. A very dangerous situation, because if that cigarette in your mouth and it hits that oxygen, it will make a huge explosion. So yeah, never smoke if you're on medical oxygen. And if somebody in your house is a smoker or you have guests over, have them smoke outside. And it's good to have a big metal can, and you can put either some water or some sand in the bottom of the can, and then people can put their cigarette butts in there. We never want to use like a planter or a flower pot as an ashtray. People think, oh, it's just dirt in there, I can just put my cigarette butt out in there. But in a lot of those planters and pots, there's peat moss and fertilizers, and they can slowly burn. We've seen fires where somebody was smoking the night before, they put the cigarette butt out in their flower pot, they went to bed for the night, the next day they start smelling some smoke, and then that flower pot actually caught on fire. And we've seen some big fires in apartment buildings and condo complexes due to that, where somebody had a flower pot on their balcony and just used that as an ashtray. So again, have that big metal can with some sand or some water at the bottom for those cigarette butts. So space heaters. I was hoping we were getting to the point we won't need space heaters anymore, but the weather that we had yesterday, obviously we're still needing them for a little while longer. So 3 things you want to remember with a space heater. You want to keep it 1 meter or 3 feet away from anything. So you don't want it to be too close to any furniture or drapes or carpets or even your bed. You want to keep it 3 feet away from anything. Have a nice circle around there that's 3 feet from anything that can burn. Plug in that space heater directly into the wall. Don't use a power bar or an extension cord, because those space heaters take a lot more energy than your other electronic appliances, and they can overload those either power bars or extension cords and can cause a fire. And before you go to bed at night, make sure you turn off that space heater and unplug it if you can. That way it'll be safer. We've seen space heaters that somebody plugs it in all night, it gets too hot and can cause a fire. A lot of the newer space heaters have a lot better technology, so they're not as concerned with them, and a lot of them have timers as well that you can turn it off. But we still suggest that you unplug it and turn it off before you go to sleep at night. With smoke alarms, so you want to make sure you have a smoke alarm on every level of your home and inside and outside of each bedroom in your home. If they're interconnected, that's even better. That means they kind of talk to each other. If one smoke alarm sounds, then all of them will sound. And that way it gives you the most time to get out of your home if there's a fire. So let's say you're in a 3-story home and you have a fire in your basement, and that smoke alarm goes off in the basement. If they're interconnected, then that'll set off all the alarms in your home, and that way it'll give you the best warning. But if they're not interconnected, you might be sleeping 2 stories above that alarm, and the alarm in the basement's going off, and you might not be able to hear it because you're sleeping with your door closed. Then that smoke's got to travel up to the next level, trigger that smoke alarm. So it is best to have interconnected smoke alarms if you can get them. If you have an older home that doesn't have interconnected smoke alarms, there is some new technologies out there that they don't need the wiring to talk to each other. They can do it through Bluetooth and technology that way. So that's a good option. And make sure that you can hear those smoke alarms. Sometimes people are hard of hearing, or they take their hearing aids out at night and they may not hear the smoke alarms at night. So there is some options out there. If you can't hear that smoke alarm, there's some smoke alarms that'll have a bright strobe light that will wake you up, or there's some that have a shaker system that will actually you can put the shaker in your bed or on a chair, and if that smoke alarm's going off, it'll actually vibrate and shake and wake you up while you're sleeping. So those are some options that way. With smoke alarms, we want you to test those smoke alarms every month. So on your smoke alarm, there'll be a test button on there, or a button you just press. So each month, just press that button and make sure that they're working. Now, we don't want you climbing up ladders to test that button. So if you got a broomstick or something, or a stick, you can just reach up and use that to press those test buttons and make sure your alarms are working each month. And then if your smoke alarms, if they have batteries, you want to change those batteries once a year. So every year you're going to change the battery in your smoke alarm. A lot of times it's like a 9-volt battery. Some of them have AA batteries. But yeah, each smoke alarm is a little bit different. So change those batteries every year. Now there is new technologies out there, like for example, this smoke alarm has a 10-year lithium battery, so you don't have to change those batteries every year. So this is a great option if you're replacing your smoke alarms, to get the 10-year lithium battery, and then you don't have that headache of changing the batteries each year. And smoke alarms have a 10-year lifespan. So every 10 years, you need to replace your smoke alarms. Even if they're hardwired into the ceiling, you still need to replace those every 10 years. So if you're a senior or a person with a disability and you're having problems with your smoke alarms, you can call 311 and say, just make a request that you're having problems with your smoke alarms. And we've got a small team that we would come out and we can help you with your smoke alarms. We can change batteries for you. If they're battery operated smoke alarms and they're getting past the 10 years date, we can actually replace the battery operated smoke alarms. If they are hardwired into the ceiling, they got those wires coming down from the ceiling that's connected. Unfortunately, because they're hardwired and they're using electricity, we're not trained electricians, so we can't go and replace those for you. But we can help you with batteries and that kind of thing. So yeah, feel free to call 311 if you're having issues with your smoke alarms, and we would be happy to come out and help you with that. So, all right. It's important to plan and practice an escape plan from your home there. So, so yeah, you want to draw out your home, draw up a plan. You want to have 2 ways out of every room in your house. And then you want to have a meeting spot outside of your home where everybody goes to meet at that one spot. And preferably it's in front of your home and something that's stationary, something that's not going to move, and everybody knows to go to that one special spot. So, so when we're talking about the escape plan, again, having 2 ways out of every room in your house, you want to make sure that your doors and your windows can open easily and you can escape, if need be, out of either of those exits out of any room, especially your bedroom. So if you're in a bedroom and let's say you're on the 2nd floor, how do you get out your window if you can't get out through your door? There is what they call a home escape ladder. You can buy those at any home improvement store, and they come in a little package. They fit under your bed or in your closet. There's just 2 big hooks that you'd open the window, push that screen out, you hang these 2 hooks out the window, you pull a tab, and then a ladder deploys, and you can climb down that ladder to safety. But if ideally, if you do have any mobility issues, you'd want to have your bedrooms on the main floor, and that way it would be easier for you to get out of your home if you do have a fire there. It's also important to sleep with your bedroom doors closed at night. People wonder, well, why do you need to sleep with your doors closed at night? So if you do have a fire in your home and your bedroom door is closed, fires nowadays, they burn a lot quicker, faster, with a lot more toxic gases and that. Most of the products we see in our homes are made out of synthetic products. Years ago, when we had furniture, it was all like solid wood and leathers and cottons, and it took a long time for those to catch on fire and to burn and erupt into a big fire. So like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you had like 17 minutes to get out of your house if you have a fire. Nowadays, you've got 3 minutes or less to get out of your house if you have a fire, because all these products that we have in our homes, all our furniture and that, is made out of these synthetic products, and they burn very hot and toxic, and the smoke fills up your homes quite quickly. So we want you to sleep with that bedroom door closed. And then if you hear that smoke alarm going off, your first choice would try to go out the door, but we just want you to go to the door, just take the back of your hand and feel that door for heat. If that door is not hot, just open the door a bit, peek out, and you can see there might be some light smoke or smoke rising up. We want you to get down low and go and crawl out as quick as you can out of your home. If that door is hot, just keep that door closed. Then you're going to go to your window. And if you can get out your window safely, we want you to get out and climb out that window and go to that meeting spot. If you can't get out your window, just stay near the window. You can put towels or blankets at the base of the door to keep that smoke from coming in under the door. And just stay near your window, call 911, tell them that you've got a fire, you can't get out of your home. And as you're talking to the dispatcher there, they're sending us all the notes that everything that you're telling them, they're relaying it to us. So as a fire department, when we're starting to drive to the call, we're getting notes. And if we know that somebody's trapped, maybe on the second floor, rear of the house, as soon as we get there, we know we're just going to get our ladders off the trucks, go to the back house, set up those ladders, and come rescue you there. So
Todd,
sometimes, yes.
would it be reasonable to, for myself, for example, I
Yeah.
could potentially get out window, but I don't think I could get down a ladder or off the roof. Would
Okay.
it make more sense still to get out and just sit on the roof?
So yeah, let's say you've got maybe a garage or an overhang that you can get out to. I would stay in your room until it got to the point where maybe that fire was starting to burn through that door, and then I would consider going out onto the roof or that balcony at that point. Yeah, it's hard. It depends on where the fire is in the house as well. But if it's right outside your door and you can't get out that door is going to give you several extra minutes of protection. You think a thin wood door doesn't really do much, but it's actually pretty amazing how they're designed, and it does take quite a bit of time, like several extra minutes of time for that fire to burn through that door. So,
Okay. So a lot of our people are seniors, and of course we all have health issues, which is why we're part of the association. So for some of them, getting out the window, like they couldn't just climb out of a window. Yeah.
okay.
Would you suggest then having a stepping stool or something close by well, you'd have to have one in every room, I suppose.
So yeah, I would be more concerned about your bedroom. So if you had some kind of stool or something just to help you get out of your bedroom and up to that window, that would be first priority. The rest of the house, I wouldn't be quite as concerned about. But your bedroom, yeah, I would definitely like to have something that would help you be able to elevate and get through that window there. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you. Good questions. Yeah, and if like that home escape ladder, I know it could be challenging for some to climb through that window and climb down that ladder. So just keeping that door closed and staying near the window would be your best option then.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
All right. Good. Thank you. So again, yeah, just talk to your family, have this home escape plan, and have that meeting spot. You've got your primary and secondary pathways out of your home there. And like I said, it's good to have that meeting spot out in front of the home there. And that way, when the fire department arrives, if we meet the people at the front of the home, people would say if everybody's out safely. If not, then we know that we need to go in and search for people. And we've got special cameras and that we can search a home quite quickly to see if there's any people or pets inside. Once you do get outside, you need to stay outside. Don't go back inside for anything. If you've got pets still inside or valuables, we don't want you going back inside. That smoke, like I said, that smoke gets very toxic. If you go back inside for anything after a short period of time, you can be overcome by that smoke. Then you're not going to be coming out of the home there. So So yeah, once you get out, stay out, tell the fire department, and when we get there, we can go in and search for those things for you. All right. And we were talking about sleeping with your bedroom door closed, very important. It's also good to have a telephone by your bed there. So if you do need to call 911, you've got easy access to it and you can call, let the dispatchers know that you are trapped in the room. It's also good to have other necessities near your bed, like if you've got medications and glasses, walkers, or a cane, have it stored near your bed or on the nightstand. That way, if you do need to get out quickly, you've got all that stuff and you can get out quickly throughout the night there. So, and then once you've got outside, we want you to call 911 when you're outside. We don't want you to be inside calling 911. Of course, if you're trapped inside and you can't get out and you're trapped in your room, definitely call 911 when you're inside. But if you can get out, once you get outside to that meeting place, call 911, or if you don't have a phone, go to a neighbor's house and just say, help, help, we've got a fire, or whatever emergency you have. And we need to call 911 and do it at that point. Now, when you call 911, there's going to be 5 questions that they're going to ask you. So the first question they ask when you call 911 is for what city or what town, please. So people are find that kind of strange, but the 911 here in Southern Alberta, they deal with Calgary and Airdrie and other locations throughout near Calgary. So they're going to ask, yeah, what town or what city. Then they're going to ask if you need police, fire, or ambulance. And then they're going to ask the address that you're at, the phone number you're calling from, just in case you get disconnected, and then what's wrong, what's your emergency, is everybody okay? So yeah, those are the 5 basic questions they're going to ask you when you call 911. And then depending on how you answer those questions, then there's going to be a whole other list of questions they're going to ask you depending on what type of call it is. So.
I have another couple of questions.
Yes.
If you don't have a cell phone, so
Yep.
you know, some of the older folks only have a landline.
Mm-hmm.
How long will that landline? I suppose it depends on the fire, right? But is there occasions where maybe the fire starts close to the communication box and they're not able, the phone doesn't work anymore?
There could be a slight chance of that. I've never heard of that happening, so yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about your landline. Actually, we've in my household we haven't had a landline for a little while now, but we're thinking about getting one again because we do have 2 kids at home, and we're thinking, well, if we're out and they don't have a landline or a cell phone, then how are they going to call anybody? So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think yeah, but I haven't heard of an issue where somebody had a fire and then they lost the ability for their landline.
I guess my other question is about so if you were staying at somebody's place and a fire started, you should maybe have the this happened to me once. It wasn't about for a fire, it was for something else, but I had to call and I was staying somewhere. I didn't know the address where I was. So I had to search for like 10 minutes before I could find a piece of mail. So it would always be good to have the address of where you are. And then I was wondering about some of the rural acreages and stuff. They don't have like very good addresses. Do you know what I mean? People aren't necessarily going to know how to find them. Well, how do they get around that?
Yeah, so so yeah, that would be a good idea. Like if you're visiting somebody staying overnight, is yeah, making sure that you know the address of the residence, and yeah, and if it's rural, like there will be a rural address on there, and ambulances that know they're trained on the maps and on how to get to those rural areas as well. But yeah, you need to know that address to be able to provide for it. A lot of times we tell people that it's great to have kind of a fridge magnet or something on your fridge that has your address and your phone number on there. So that way, if something does happen, if you have friends over or something, they know that they can just go to the fridge quickly, look at the fridge magnet and see the address on their phone number. Because yeah, you could be looking for a while, like you're trying to find a piece of mail or something and panicking like, oh, where can I find the address? So if there's something on the fridge, then that way you've got the address, and helps you out a lot that way. Yeah. So, and people think, well, why would I put my address on my fridge? I know my address, but what if something happens to you and you've got a friend over and suddenly you're not responsive and your friend needs to call for you, then they've got that address and makes things a lot easier for them. So yes, so good question. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to talk about stop, drop, and roll. So I'm sure you've heard that over the years, is you're just going to stop right where we are, drop down to the ground and roll. You don't want to start trying to move around or take clothing off. Just stop right where we are as best as you can. Gently drop down to the ground, and then you're going to roll, and you're going to cover your face when you roll and just keep rolling back and forth, back and forth, and that'll help put out that fire there. So let's say if you're unable to drop down to the ground, if you've got some kind of blanket or something, you can just get that and pull it over yourself, and that'll help smother that fire and take away that oxygen there. So, or if somebody's in a wheelchair, yeah, some kind of blanket or heavier cloth, and then that can help put out that fire there.
So I'm curious, because you had said earlier about all the synthetic fabrics and stuff, and I know a lot of the blankets we have around here are not natural products. Yeah. So is there, well, first of all, should you be looking for one that's a natural product? And is there any risk of using these synthetic ones?
Yeah, so a lot of the fabrics nowadays, they are treated for their like fire resistant. Like the number of fires we used to have because of clothing issues has dropped dramatically over the last 10 or 15 years. So like years ago, we always used to stop, drop, and roll was like the #1 thing you'd be teaching kids and that. Now they don't even want to really teach kids stop, drop, and roll because the small amount of fires that they have on their clothing because of the new products, and a lot of them are fire resistant. So there's a lot of sort of regulations on what you would have for the fabric and clothing nowadays. So so yeah, clothing is sort of gone the one way where it's not as flammable versus your furniture and other products around your house. Those are becoming more flammable, but clothing and blankets and sheets and that have gone the other way where it's safer nowadays for those products. But yeah, but yeah, if you think some of these synthetic products, they can get hot, melt, and cause a fire. But if you just put it over yourself quickly and smother that and take away that oxygen, then it should put out that fire for you there. So
great, thanks.
All right. If you do ever receive burns in that, it's good to run it under cool water for 3 to 5 minutes. So sometimes when you get a burn, if you don't run it under cool water, that burn can start going down to deeper layers of the skin and get worse. So just run it under cool water for 3 to 5 minutes. We don't want to put any ice on the burns or any creams because that can make the burn worse. Also, yeah, I know that I've talked to people, and when they grew up, they were taught to put butter on a burn. We definitely don't want to be doing that, putting butter on a burn. So just run under cool water 3 to 5 minutes. If that burn is a bigger burn to parts of your body, you want to get medical help right away. So if you have small burn on your fingers and that, not a big issue. But if that burn is bigger, sort of like the size of your palm or in your hand, anywhere on your body, you may need to get some medical attention to that quickly. So, all right. Now we're going to start talking a little bit about falls and fall prevention there. So falls are the leading cause of injuries among seniors. So I believe last year we went to more calls for people who had fallen and hurt themselves than we actually went to for fires here in Calgary. So I think we had 1,700 calls for people who had fallen and hurt themselves, and something like 1,500 calls for actual house fires. So falls are a serious issue, and we want to try to do some things to help prevent ourselves from having those falls. So,
Todd, sorry, we had
yes,
a question come in, and it's the first one, so I'm excited.
sure.
Ron is asking about aloe. Is aloe better than water for a burn?
So initially you'd want to run it under cool water, and then yeah, aloe is good for burns. So yeah, other creams than that aren't the best, but aloe, yeah, it's a nice natural product. Just break the bit of aloe off and rub it on, or you can buy it in the bottles or jars. So yeah, aloe is a good not alternative, but you can put that on after you've cooled down that burn for 3 to 5 minutes with the cool water there. So now I guess if it's a pretty severe burn, it's blistered and stuff, and it's open, I would be a little more cautious with some of the aloes out there. If it's more just a first degree burn where it's just on the surface of the skin and it's not open blisters and open wounds, then I would definitely use aloe on there. Like, especially like when you think about getting a sunburn, lots of people recommend to just use that aloe lotion. But so, all right.
Okay, great, thanks.
Right. Hope that answered your question there, Ron. So
I just want to interject here because
yes,
I just want to tell everybody this week my mother-in-law has fallen twice, and the first time she had put something in the oven and then fallen. So it was it could have been a really bad scenario after that, and she doesn't even know how she fell. So it's just so easy to fall when your muscles are weaker than they should be.
yeah, definitely. So and so you can see from this slide here that 67% of the injuries that are occurred for adults 65 or older were from falls. Only 2% from motor vehicle collisions, and then others make up a bunch of different things, but falls is the majority of what injures older adults here. So here in Alberta, there's 24 fall-related hospitals admissions every day, with the average hospital stay of 3 weeks. Average of 33,000 older visits the emergency department for treatment from a fall. And yeah, 20 to 30% of all adults age 65 or older will fall at least once this year. 95% of all hip fractures are due to a fall, and 40% of all nursing home admissions are due from or result from having a fall. So yeah, if things we can do to help keep you in your home as long as you can and not having those falls, that's great to keep you in your homes and not having to go to a nursing home here. So we'll talk about a few things that can help you in your home there. But if you do have a fall, just first thing you do if you fall, just take a moment to lay there and make sure, just kind of feel your body and see, like, wiggle your feet around your hands and just see if you can feel like you have any kind of injury. Then if you feel okay, then if you can, you want to roll over to one of your sides. And if one of your sides is hurting, try to roll over to the other side. Then you can kind of crawl over to a chair, and then with that chair, try to get up on your knees, get your hands on that chair. Bring your one knee up, and it's better to use your stronger leg to bring that knee up. And then if you can, use a chair, and even you can push on your knee and that can help you kind of push yourself up, and then to get on that chair. Then once you're sitting on that chair, just take a moment or two just to regroup and see how you're feeling there. So there's other, I was watching a video here. So if you fell and you couldn't get up and you needed to try to get across the floor, try to get it to the telephone and that, you might not be able to pull yourself across the floor or whatnot. I saw a video where you kind of just lay on your back. Let's see if I can demonstrate this here, but you have your knees up, and then you kind of have your shoulder blades, and then you kind of lift your bum up a little bit, move your bum, your shoulders, bum and shoulders, and kind of scoot across that way. I don't know if I was able to really demonstrate that well.
Kind of an inchworm move, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if I can try this here. So yeah, down on the ground. Let's get back this way here. So yeah. All right, so yeah, you can just kind of scoot your butt over a little bit, wiggle your shoulders, butt, and then just kind of scoot across and do that to get to the phone there. So, all right. I also saw another video where somebody had fallen close to a bookcase there, and they were close to a chair, but they couldn't get on the chair. So they actually took a book and put it on their kind of one side of their butt, and then a book on the other side of the butt, and they just kept building it up, and they were able to elevate themselves to.
That's ingenious.
Yeah, so it's kind of a neat thing. I guess you have to be lucky enough to, well, not lucky to fall, but be close enough to a bookcase to be able to do that. So yeah,
I once had to bring kitchen chairs out to the backyard for my dad who had fallen.
Oh yeah.
And so just like you have in your graphic here, but then I had one behind him so he didn't have to turn. He just sort of got himself up, and then I slipped the other chair under his butt.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, if you're helping somebody get up, then yeah, that way you don't have to try to make that turn and potentially lose your balance. So good. All right. So what are some of the things we can do to help with falls? Exercise regularly. Sound like within your organization there, you've had some people come in and talk about exercising, and everybody's got different abilities, and I know there could be some issues with pain tolerance, that kind of thing. So, but it's kind of a vicious circle. If you don't exercise, then things start spiraling downward. So yeah, if you can talk to a professional, talk to your doctor, figure out an exercise program that works for you and your situation, and yeah, keep exercising on a regular basis. We've seen Tai Chi is a great exercise to help people, and helps with their balance and also movement, and we see that it helps reduce the risk of falls. And just having the exercise and using those muscles just helps with your coordination and balance as well. So of course, like I said, always make sure you talk to your doctor and do within your ability and your means. But yeah, physical exercise is great to help keep your balance and help you from falling in the future. With our shoes and that, we got to be careful with what we're wearing on our feet. Sometimes people will have these nice knitted slippers that they made for themselves or somebody made for them. But we've seen like those knitted slippers and that they can be very slippery on hardwood surfaces, floors and that. So it's better to have something with a little bit of rubber, something that has traction on those floors. Also, the shoes that we wear, it's good to have a good, solid, sturdy sole. Well, we can see that. I'll zoom in a little bit. So just a rubber sole. So we've got a shoe, but it doesn't have high heels or anything like that. So it's not a tripping hazard. We don't need to be wearing shoes like this. It's a lovely shoe out of my collection. Just kidding. It's a good prop for the. Also with our shoes, especially like with the weather we had yesterday, there's things you can slip over top your shoes. It's just a little cleat. It's got little spikes on there. So if it's icy surface or snowy surface, you can just buy these. Even I've seen them at Canadian Tire or any outdoor clothing stores, and they just slide on over top of your shoes and gives you a lot more traction and when you're walking outside in snowy, icy conditions there. So, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think they're $15 for a pair, and they come in different sizes, but they just easily slide over an existing pair of shoes and gives you that extra protection if you're walking outside. All right. Then again, just take your time when you're getting up. Sometimes doorbell rings, the phone rings, and you want to get up quickly. Sometimes we find when we're getting up quickly, especially if you're on some medications, that you might get a little lightheaded in that or lose your balance. So just take your time getting out of those chairs and be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you get your balance and your feet underneath you as you get up. And take a look around your home and look for surfaces that could be a tripping hazard. So you might have uneven surfaces like throw rugs and that. We see throw rugs and they can easily get bunched up. So they're on the floor and then suddenly it might flip over and then you've got a tripping hazard there. So make sure that they're nice and smoothed out. It's even better if you've got sort of a heavier rug that's sort of got that rubber backing on it. And that way it doesn't slip on the floor here. So with this rubber here, you got better traction and it doesn't slide around and it's a little bit heavier so they don't flip up as easily as other rugs out there. You can also buy like a pad or an underlay that's a non-slip it. If you have existing rugs, you can buy one of these and put it underneath that and help it from slipping and folding up on you there. So also we want to be careful when we're walking outside and looking for uneven sidewalks and pavement. Unfortunately here in Calgary we get a lot of freezing and thawing, and then you'll see sidewalks they'll raise up or drop down. So just definitely have to be careful when you're outside walking, looking for those uneven surfaces. And yeah, just make sure that your home is clear of any ice or those hazards. If you can do it yourself, great. Or if not, have somebody else come and do it for you. Or maybe you can get a neighbor that could be a snow angel for you there, and they can help you out. We want to be careful about our walkways and making sure that those are nice and clear. We don't have a bunch of clutter like on the stairs or having extension cords running across as a tripping hazard. We should never have extension cords that are plugged in that are for sort of a permanent use. So we don't want to see extension cords running across the ground or even under carpets or mats, because if you're stepping on those extension cords all the time, they can wear out and that can actually be a fire hazard. If you have them just running across the floor, that can be a tripping hazard for you as well. So yeah, just make sure you clean up the clutter around your home, not have those tripping hazards. You know, sometimes we can collect a lot of stuff over the years, but yeah, it's good to do some spring cleaning and clean up some of that clutter and make sure that there's no tripping hazards around your house there. Also, having rails on your stairwells there. So and those make sure that stairwells are also well lit. Sometimes we see that, yeah, people, they're walking downstairs and they don't turn on the lights and whatnot, and they can be a tripping hazard. And make sure that those handrails are easy to grab onto and they run the whole length of the stairwell as well. We talked a little bit about lighting there, so making sure those stairwells are well lit, but also making sure that even having night lights in your home there. So if you need to get up in the middle of the night to go use the washroom, having night lights to help light the way so you can get there safely. There is night lights out there that have a sensor on there, so it's like a motion sensor. So as soon as you move them, that night light will turn on. Otherwise, it'll be dark. So there's a great option. So it's not distracting you from sleep because you've got that light on all the time. So buying those night lights that have the motion sensor, that way it's easier for you to sleep, but also great for you if you need to get up in the middle of the night to use the washroom. Also, once a year, make sure you go see an eye specialist and get your eyes checked. It's also good to get your hearing checked as well, because your eyesight and hearing, that's always good for knowing your surroundings and helping you with your mobility and dexterity. So going to see an eye specialist and hearing specialist each year is good for you. With bathtubs and that, we do see lots of slips in bathtubs, people getting in and out of bathtubs. So a few things you could do are having non-slip mats, both inside the tub and just outside the tub. Installing grab bars to help you get in and out as well. And if you do have issues getting into the bathtub there, there's some bathtubs that you can actually, basically it's a door that you can open. Then you can walk in, close that door behind you, and still have your bath. So yeah, just there's different tools or ways to accommodate if you do have issues getting in and out of the tub there. If you do have any spills, you spill water, make sure you clean those up quickly. We've seen, yeah, like I said, lots of people that slip on the water in bathrooms. And if you do have a fall and you can't get up, definitely call 911. Don't be scared to call us. We go to lift assist all the time. Even if you're not hurt, if you can't get up, you should still call 911. The ambulance will come if they need help if they can't get you up themselves. There's been times that, yeah, they've had the fire department come and help as well. Or we've had people that have fallen and get wedged between, say, the toilet and the bathtub, and we've had to help them get up as well. So don't hesitate to call 911 if you have a fall and you're unable to get up. All right. So that basically covers what I was going to talk about today. So yeah, we talked about that fire safety and also fall prevention. So yeah, with that fire safety is with cooking, make sure we never leave that cooking unattended. If you do have a grease fire, oil fire, again, just have that lid handy and use that to cover that pot or that pan, and better with an oven mitt. Just cover it, get that low, cover it, turn off the heat, just leave it there. Don't try to move it outside or to the sink, and just let it cool for several minutes. Or more than several minutes, like let it cool for like 10, 15 minutes, then that should be okay. Again, if that fire is too big and you don't feel comfortable trying to put a lid on it or a cookie sheet, just get out and call 911. We also talked about smoke alarms. So it's important to test your smoke alarms every month, change the batteries in the smoke alarms every year, and replace your smoke alarms every 10 years. And like I said, if you're having troubles changing batteries or having troubles with your smoke alarms, definitely call 311. We've got a special category for people with seniors or disabilities about their smoke alarms, and we'll come out and we can help you with that. What else did we talk about there? So just having your escape plan and knowing 2 ways out of every room in your home, sleeping with that bedroom door closed, it's important. And then if you do need to call 911, there's going to be those 5 questions you can ask. Don't be scared to call 911. Even if you smell smoke in your house and you're not sure where that smell is coming from, you can't see any fire or anything, but you're still concerned, still call 911. We can come and we can search and try to figure out what's the cause in your home. I was at a fire. Well, it wasn't a fire, but this family, they kept smelling smoke and they couldn't figure out what was happening. And so we went to their homes and we could smell the smoke too. It was faint smell of smoke, but we're trying to figure out where it was. Finally, we figured out that above their gas fireplace, there was a grill up there, and the kids were sticking DVDs up through that grill, and it was sitting on top of the fireplace. So anytime the gas fireplace kicked in to heat up, it was actually starting to melt these DVDs and that on top of the fireplace there. So it took us a little while to figure it out, but we managed to see what was happening and were able to stop that potential fire. So yeah, there's no cost to call for the fire department to come to your home. Same with police. Now with an ambulance, there can be a charge with an ambulance ride or the ambulance coming to your house there. But if you're a senior, then generally you don't have to pay any cost for the ambulance there. So,
Is there a charge for the ambulance if you call for somebody and then they refuse to go?
If they refuse treatment, then yeah, the ambulance, they can't charge for that.
Okay.
I know, like at car accidents now, when I was on the trucks with the fire department, ambulance would be called and then somebody would refuse to see the medics, but then yeah, the ambulance would just leave, and yeah, nobody would be billed for that. So
Okay.
yeah. Question. All right. Yeah, and then again, with slips and falls, it can happen so quickly. Like Linda, like you said, your mom fell and she didn't even know what happened. Last year, I was going out to load up my van to go do a presentation, and there's a new light drifting of snow, and there was ice underneath. I didn't realize it. Got out, took one step, and just like that, I was laid out on my side. I looked around quickly to see if anybody saw me fall. It's like, oh, that hurt.
To the falls guy? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, luckily I wasn't hurt at all, but well, I was a little bit bruised up, but no serious injuries there. But yeah, falls can happen so quickly there. So everybody be careful with that.
Well, I wanted to tell you as well, we had it wasn't a question, but early on we had a note from Peggy that said,
Yes.
Great appreciation and thanks for firefighters, EMS, and police who helped me 3 different times with broken bones due to drop foot from neuropathy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. With our condition, we tend to fall more than the average people.
Yeah.
Because we get drop foot, many of us do anyway.
Yeah, I was reading about that. So